Hey everybody, I'm Jordan with Blockchain Daily. We're here with the one and only Peter Schiff at Money Show Orlando. So, Peter, now that the stock market is moving into a bear market, where do you see cryptocurrency, not just Bitcoin, going?
Well, it seems like the stock market and the cryptocurrencies are moving into bear markets at the same time, right? I mean, because you've got both markets going down, although I guess the cryptos technically are already in bear markets, because I guess the way Wall Street likes to define a bear market is a decline of 20%. And so the stock market's only down about 10% right now, so they can still call that a correction. But, all bear markets look like corrections at the beginning, right? You don't know that it's a bear market until you're down by the 20%. Then of course it's too late. The cryptocurrencies, pretty much all of them are down by more than 20% from their highs, although obviously cryptocurrencies have been very volatile the entire time. So it's been a long bull market since they first started, and there's been many bear markets within that bull market. But the one that we have now, I mean, you had a drop of Bitcoin of 70% from the peak to the trough so far. And even though we've bounced off the lows, we're still down better than 50% from the highs. So that's pretty significant. And I think that what might be different this time than the prior bear markets is this one has happened at a time where you had massive public awareness of Bitcoin, especially surrounding the launching of the Bitcoin futures. You had hundreds of thousands of people opening up accounts, Coinbase. I mean, you had mass hysteria. The media had, was all Bitcoin all the time. I mean, that's all anybody talked about. So kind of like a classic sign of a top. And now you've had a big decline. And so to me, I think that the number of people that actually own Bitcoin, there's probably more people that are losing money in Bitcoin than making money. Now, of course, there are people that have made huge fortunes, but they're a small number compared to the masses who got in at 10,000 to 20,000. Obviously they didn't buy millions of dollars worth. They bought hundreds of dollars worth, maybe thousands of dollars worth, but they've seen their investment go down, and that's going to take a lot of the appeal away. But we'll see. I mean, I think the air is coming out of both bubbles, the crypto bubble, the stock market bubble. I think that unless the Fed comes to the rescue of the stock market is going into a bear market. The way they would rescue the stock market is to back away from the rate hikes, maybe actually cut rates, certainly back away from quantitative tightening. I think they need to do another round of quantitative easing to buy up the enormous wave of Treasury bond selling now that the Republicans have decided to expand government dramatically and cut taxes at the same time. Deficits are skyrocketing to levels way above what we had during Obama, during the Great Recession. But back then, the Fed was monetizing the deficits. Now it's threatening to not only not do that, but to sell the bonds that it bought while Obama was president. So there's no way to absorb all of these treasuries. So the Fed would have to come out and acknowledge QE4. I think that's going to cause the dollar to crash. I think that's going to cause gold to soar. The question is, what will it do to the cryptocurrencies? Will it cause the bubble to reflate? Or are cryptos going to tank along with the dollar?
So for the young investor who wants to start investing, why should they invest in gold instead of cryptocurrency?
Well, I think gold is a stable store of value. I think that people who buy gold, will end up, preserving their wealth. I mean, you don't necessarily get rich owning gold, but you don't go broke owning gold. I mean, that's the whole idea. Now, I do think gold prices are very, very low. I expect gold to go 5,000, 10,000. So certainly, if you own gold, you're going to be better off than those who don't own gold. Gold is going to go up in value in terms of dollars, but the dollar is going to be falling in value. So it's not just gold that's going to be going up. All commodities are going to be going up. I think gold just might go up more than your typical commodity because I think it's going to be remonetized. And in fact, one of the original appeals of Bitcoin was that you could use it as a medium of exchange instead of dollars or euros. But basically you really can't because the price is so volatile. Nobody can really price something in Bitcoin because you have no idea what the Bitcoin is going to be worth, from day to day or even hour to hour. And now that more people have it, the actual cost of doing a Bitcoin transaction has gone up, and it's a lot slower. You can actually use gold. I mean, the original Bitcoiners were like, well, yeah, gold is great, but I can't use my gold to buy a cup of coffee. Well, the reality is you can use your gold to buy a cup of coffee. You can't use Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee because it'll cost you more than the coffee to use your Bitcoin, and no merchant is going to price coffee in Bitcoins, but you can price coffee in gold, and you can use gold as a medium of exchange because gold, you can have cryptocurrencies backed by gold, or you can use a company like Gold Money, which I'm involved in. I have an account at Gold Money. You'll notice I've got this credit card here, which is actually made of gold, but I can use this debit card rather, and I can go buy a cup of coffee with it. And when I do, I'm selling my gold. But what Gold Money also does is the merchant can price his coffee in gold. Right? He can say, here's how many grams of gold this cup of coffee is, and he never has to change the price because he knows that there's a pretty good relationship between gold and coffee. They're both commodities. They have a relationship, and I could just use my cell phone, and I can use my app on my cell phone, and I can transfer some of the gold that I own in Gold Money to the barista who's selling me the coffee, and I get the coffee, he gets some of my gold, and we've completed a transaction without using the banking system, without using fiat currency. We've just used gold, and we've transferred some ownership. $5 worth of my gold is now owned by the coffee merchant. And so I think that young people can find out, hey, I can go open up a Gold Money account. I don't need a bank account. I can get a free debit card. The gold one costs money, but if you just want a plastic one, they're free. And you can conduct commerce with it. You can use it as a medium of exchange. So it's not you're not gonna get rich quick like some of the people who bought Bitcoin years ago. A kid in high school took his bar mitzvah money and bought Bitcoin. Now he's a millionaire, right? That's not going to happen with gold, but that's also not going to happen with Bitcoin anymore. That's done, right? The gains have been made. The people that are buying now are going to lose money, right? They're enabling the people who got in early to get out. That's what's happening. When you're buying in now, you're the bag holder. You're buying so the people who got in a long time ago can sell, right? And so young people, don't get suckered into it because you hear these stories of the fact that people made a lot of money. They did, but that doesn't mean that you're going to make a lot of money if you buy now. Right? You're buying high. They bought low, although it wasn't even low, because I think ultimately it's going to zero. So even people that paid $10 for their Bitcoin, if they still hold them when it's zero, they'll end up losing 100% of their money.
Do you have any intention of integrating blockchain technology with Gold Money?
Well, that's up to Gold Money. I've asked them about it, and they've said the reason that they haven't launched it is they're afraid of the regulators. They think that it's, because there's too much money laundering potential there. They just don't see the profit in it because it would be so expensive to do the compliance that there wouldn't be enough money. I mean, the network that they do now is good. They have a profitable platform that enables this in a compliant way where they can comply with all the know your customer rules and all the anti-money laundering stuff. And so, I think that's okay. But to try to do the gold-backed cryptocurrency could expose them. But if it wasn't for the regulatory risk, cryptocurrencies backed by gold would be phenomenal, because currencies were initially issued by private banks before the governments did it, and they were all backed by gold. That's what gave them value. So you could do the same thing today. You can issue a cryptocurrency backed by gold, but what you can't do is issue a currency backed by nothing. I mean, that's fiat. That's counterfeit. That's a fraud. It doesn't work, right? So, and that's why all these cryptos, I think, even the ones that are better than Bitcoin, and there's plenty now that are better than Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin was the first, but there have been a lot of improvements as far as, the processing speed and the cost and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they all have the same fatal flaw, which is that they have no intrinsic value, and that and so it's all a function of faith. Will people buy it? People try to make the same argument. They say, well, gold has no intrinsic value either, and that's just ridiculous. Gold is a commodity that has uses. It has a lot of uses. It's a precious metal that has been a luxury good for centuries, for thousands of years, not just centuries. But it has real practical uses in industry, in medicine, in electronics. There are things that you can do with gold. You don't just use it as a medium of exchange. You just don't use it as money. In fact, the reason it became money is because it had so many other properties that made it so valuable outside of its use as money. So many people needed it and wanted it. But with Bitcoin, you don't have any of that. I mean, Bitcoin is all about, using it as a method of exchange. But really, the value of Bitcoin or any of these cryptocurrencies is their value as a speculative asset. People want them because they think they can sell them to somebody else at a higher price. But the minute nobody thinks they could do that, right, when you've gone through the greatest fool, then the price implodes, right? Just like tulips or Beanie Babies or anything else.
So last question, will gold double in 2018?
Probably not. I mean, gold rarely doubles in a year. I mean, there could be a year that gold prices will double, and I wouldn't say that it's impossible for the price of gold to double this year. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I would say the probability is not, greater than 50%. I mean, I wouldn't go out there and buy call options at gold, with a 2,500 strike price. You're probably not going to make money on those. Although, I mean, if gold were to get to 2,000 this year, then maybe temporarily they might have some value. But it's possible. I mean, eventually the dollar is going to collapse, and eventually the price of gold can more than double. Look, I mean, remember when we had hyperinflation in Zimbabwe? I mean, how many multiples did gold move up per year in the Zimbabwe dollar, right? So, if we had hyperinflation, well, yeah, gold would go up. But I don't expect hyperinflation to happen this year. I hope it never happens. It is the worst case scenario. But I do think we're going to have massive inflation in the United States, the way they measure it, much higher than we had in the 1970s. In the 1970s, the price of gold went from $35 an ounce to $850. So if we have a similar move now, we're at $1,300. So where's it going to go? It's going a lot higher.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, if anybody, you want to buy some gold, go to Schiff Gold. We sell gold coins, silver coins, bars, and goldmoney.com. If you want to get one of those shiny gold debit cards or even just a plastic one and just go and buy $50, $100 worth of gold, go to Gold Money. So that's another way to own gold. You can buy gold jewelry, and the markup is, if you spend $1,000, you're going to get $800 worth of gold. So gold, if gold goes up 25%, you're ahead. You can sell it, and make a profit. Normally, if you go out and buy gold jewelry, if you spend $1,000, you get $200 worth of gold. So gold's going to have to go, to $3,500 or $6,500 to break even, right? You need five-fold increase because you paid $1,000 for $200 worth of gold. So most people are throwing their money away buying 18-karat gold, and you get a tiny amount of gold. With Monet, you're getting almost all gold. You're just paying a little premium for the design fee, the fabrication. Just go to their website, Monet.com, and you can kill two birds with one stone. Own some real money and get some nice jewelry.
Awesome. So Schiff Gold, Gold Money, and Monet.
Yeah.
And you can listen to Peter Schiff at Peter Schiff Radio on iTunes and Stitcher.
Yeah.
And all right, thank you, Peter.
All right, my pleasure.
Yep.